There's a family in Connecticut that hasn't checked a price tag since 1987. Not because they're careless, because they don't need to. There's another family, worth $5 million, who still clips coupons. Not out of necessity, out of habit, out of training. And then there's a third family, worth $500 million. You've never heard their name. You never will. That's intentional. Today, we're going inside all three worlds. Because old money isn't one thing. It has levels. And the difference between those levels will genuinely shock you. Before we break down the levels, you need to understand something most people get completely wrong. Old money is not about how much you have. It's about how long you've had it. New money is a Lamborghini in the driveway. Old money is a 1962 Land Rover that still runs because someone actually maintained it. New money buys status. Old money is status. So quietly, so deeply, that they don't even think about it. The psychology is completely different. New money thinks, how do I look? Old money thinks, what do we preserve? In America, old money traces back to the original industrial families, the Rockefellers, the Vanderbilts, the DuPonts. But today, there are thousands of families you've never heard of, carrying that same DNA, living by the same code. We're going to define 3 tiers. Level 1, $5 million. The entry gate, comfortable, private, old values, modest footprint. Level 2, $50 million. The established class, institutional, generational, quietly powerful. Level 3, $500 million and above. The dynasty, nearly invisible, almost untouchable. Let's go level by level. $5 million sounds like a lot, and it is for most Americans. But in old money terms, this is the entry level. The minimum required to carry the culture. They own one house, maybe a modest lake house too. The primary residence is in a good zip code. Think suburbs of Boston, outside of Philadelphia, small towns in Virginia. But it's not ostentatious. It might be 3,500 square feet. Older. Drafty in winter. They refuse to fully renovate it because that's not how it was done. The car is a Volvo, a used Saab, maybe a newer Subaru Outback, occasionally a BMW, but a 5-year-old one. They could buy a Ferrari tomorrow. They won't, because that's not what our family does. This is where the money shows. Education. Every child attends private school, often a boarding school with name recognition. Then a liberal arts college, Williams, Middlebury, Colby. Not necessarily Harvard, but definitely not state school unless it's UVA. They vacation in the same place every summer, for 40 years. Nantucket. Bar Harbor, a lake in Vermont. The consistency is the point. The ritual is the point. They eat simply. They dress simply. Brooks Brothers on sale. Bean boots from L.L. Bean that are 12 years old. Here's what surprises people. They are careful with money. Not cheap. Careful. They know exactly what they have. They read their statements. They talk to the same financial advisor their father used. They do not touch principal. That's the first rule. You live off returns. You preserve capital. Because that money has to last another 100 years. They belong to one club, maybe 2. A country club their grandfather joined. A sailing club. They don't network, they belong. There's a difference. Networking is transactional. Belonging is structural. They give to the same 3 charities their parents gave to. Quietly. No naming rights. At this level, old money is about discipline, about maintaining a way of life on a relatively limited base. And they are proud of that discipline, almost stubbornly so. At $50 million, something shifts. It's not just more money, it's more permanence. At this level, the family has been wealthy long enough that institutions know their name. The local hospital, the university, the museum. They were on the founding board. Their grandfather's portrait is in the lobby. Now there are multiple properties. A primary estate, 8,000 to 12,000 square feet on significant land, but tastefully furnished. No gold faucets, no marble everything. Books everywhere. Art that means something to the family, not art that's meant to impress guests. A summer house, probably on the water, possibly in Europe. A family hunting property, or a ski house that's been in the family since the 1960s. Here's a shift that most people don't anticipate. The staff. Not servants. Staff. There's a difference in how they speak about it. A house manager, a groundskeeper, a personal assistant who's been with the family for 20 years. The staff are almost family themselves. Loyalty runs both ways. At this level, education becomes legacy. Their children attend the same boarding schools they attended. Exeter, Andover, Groton. Then Harvard, Yale, Princeton. Not because they need to be impressed, but because that's where the relationships are. That's where the next generation of their circle will be formed. And here's the key. They fund the education with endowed scholarships in the family name, giving back to the institution while cementing the relationship. Permanently. At 50 million, you stop thinking about dollars. You start thinking about structures, family trusts, LLCs, foundations. The money has been organized into vehicles that will outlast everyone in the room. There is a family meeting once a year. The children, when they come of age, are educated about the structures. They learn the history of the wealth. They are told explicitly, you are stewards, not owners. That phrase, stewards, not owners, is everything. It explains why old money lasts. It's not yours to spend, it's yours to protect. At this level, a phone call changes things. They sit on boards, hospital boards, university boards, cultural boards, not as donors, as governors. They make decisions. They don't talk about this. They don't post about this. But when the mayor of the city needs something, they know which family to call. The irony is that their lifestyle looks almost indistinguishable from the $5 million family from the outside. The same old clothes, the same old car, the same modest demeanor. But the scale of what operates beneath the surface is completely different. The foundation that gives $3 million per year. The trust that owns properties in 4 states. The investment committee that meets quarterly. The display is invisible. The infrastructure is massive. Now we enter a different world entirely. At $500 million and above, old money stops being a lifestyle. It becomes a system. These are not families. These are institutions that happen to have family names. They don't own homes. They own compounds, multiple estates across the country and internationally. A family compound in Connecticut that's been owned since the 1880s. A private island, or access to one. An apartment in Manhattan, purchased outright, not for show, but for logistics. A ranch in Wyoming. A villa in Italy that's been in the family for 3 generations. The properties are managed professionally. There is a full estate management team, a rotating staff of household professionals at each property, a travel coordinator who manages the family's movement across all of them. They fly private, exclusively. Not because they want to be seen, they actively don't want to be seen, but because security and logistics at this level make commercial travel impractical. There is a family aircraft, possibly 2. Pilots on retainer. At this level, the family has a family office, an actual office staffed with professionals, investment managers, lawyers, accountants, a CFO, an estate manager, sometimes a communications director. This office manages the wealth full-time. The family doesn't manage money. The office manages money. The family manages legacy. This is where things get quiet and powerful. At this level, old money shapes institutions, not just gives to them. University buildings carry the family name, hospital wings, art museum galleries. But more than naming rights, they shape policy. They sit on the boards that hire university presidents. They fund think tanks. They quietly advise political campaigns without being visible in them. They don't lobby. Lobbying is for people who need to ask. They convene. They bring people to the table, and the table is in their house. Here is the most important thing about this level. They are invisible by design. They do not appear on Forbes lists. They do not post on Instagram. They do not give interviews. They do not appear at galas unless they are the reason the gala exists. When something is named after them, it is a building from 1930, not a new one. Their children use their mother's maiden name sometimes, or a variation, to pass unnoticed at college. They are taught from a young age that attention is a liability. At this level, the goal is not to be respected. The goal is to never have to prove yourself at all, because everyone who matters already knows. Let's look at what actually separates them. The $5 million family owns one nice house. The $50 million family owns an estate and multiple properties. The $500 million family operates a compound network across multiple countries. The $5 million family drives a Volvo. The $50 million family has one luxury vehicle and flies private occasionally. The $500 million family has full-time private aviation. The $5 million family has an occasional housekeeper. The $50 million family has full household staff. The $500 million family has an entire family office. The $5 million family sends their kids to private school and a good liberal arts college. The $50 million family sends their kids to legacy boarding schools and the Ivy League. The $500 million family adds private tutors, global education, and lifelong institutional access. The $5 million family belongs to a club. The $50 million family sits on boards. The $500 million family governs institutions. And in every case, as the wealth grows, the visibility shrinks. As the influence grows, the noise disappears. The richest old money families are the quietest people in every room they enter. And that, more than any number, is the defining feature of old money at every level. Here's what I want to leave you with. Old money is not aspirational in the way we usually think about wealth. It's not about getting something. It's about becoming something, slowly, over generations. It's about discipline when you could be extravagant, restraint when you could show off, giving when no one is watching. The $5 million family and the $500 million family share more in common than the $500 million family shares with someone who made their money last year. Because it was never about the money. It was always about the values behind it. Whether that's something you admire or something you want to build for your own family. The lesson is the same. Wealth that lasts is quiet. Wealth that lasts is patient. And wealth that lasts is never, ever just about you. If this opened your eyes to a world most people never see, drop a comment below. Tell me which level surprised you most, and if you want to go deeper, my next video is going to cover the exact habits old money families use to keep wealth across generations. You won't want to miss it. Subscribe, and I'll see you there.